We begin today the Gemara on Daf Nun Aleph from Amud Beis, 5 lines from the bottom of the Amud. We're in the middle of a sugya here. The Gemara brought a machlokes between Abaye and Rava on Amud Aleph regarding a person that's Mekadesh Isha, but it's Kidushin she'ei mesurin l'bia, because it's not known who the marriage was with, so therefore he can't have a relation with this woman either way. So Rava says in such a case the Kidushin doesn't take effect. He learns from the pasuk Hi kachishisha uba Allah, that it must be possible to have Bi'ila. On the other hand, Abaye says that it's Kidushin, even if it's not possible for there to be Bia after this Kidushin. So the Gemara here brings a raya, a question actually, on Rava's opinion. Toshama Shnayim Shekitru Shtei Achayis. The Mishnah in Yevamah says, 2 people that were Mekadesh sisters. But Zeh en Yidei is a Kiddush, V'zeh en Yidei is a Kiddush. They both don't know which sister they were Mekadesh. So the halacha is Zeh noisen shnei gittin, v'zeh noisen shnei gittin. So both of them have to give a get to both of these sisters to divorce them, because each one of them can be married to both of them. So here we see again that there's a case where there's a suffix if he's married to one sister or another. He can't live with either one of these women because it could be your brother's wife. And nevertheless, we say that the Kidushin would take effect and you need to give a get to both of them. So there's a question on Rava that says that in such a case, the Kidushin should not take effect. Answers the Gemara, Hachanami, so over here as well, similar to the answer that the Gemara said to the question that I asked before on Rava, Shehukru ulubesoif nisarvo. That originally they knew, each one of them knew exactly which sister they were Mekadesh, but later on it was forgotten. Dekanami, and we can prove this from the Lashon of this Mishnah, Diktani, because it says, Eino Yedeya, that this one doesn't know and this one doesn't know. It doesn't say that it was never known, that it's not unknown. Shmamina, so from this we see that it was known in the beginning, so it was a Kidushin of Mesurin L'Bia in the beginning. But if that's the pshat in this Mishnah, so then Maila Memra. What's the Kiddush that he has to give a get for both of them? Of course, if it's a suffix, you don't know, so you have to give a get. Answers the Gemara, Seife Itzrichelei. The Kiddush is not in this halacha of the Reisha, the Kiddush is the continuation in the Seife. The Seife there in that Mishnah continues and says as follows, Meis, now if both of these men died, and you have these sisters, it's not clear which one of them is whose wife, so Olezeh Ach, Olezeh Ach. So if the case is that both of these men that died, each one has one brother, so Zeh Chaylitz L'Shteyen, V'zeh Chaylitz L'Shteyen. So each one of these brothers has to give chalitza for both of these women, for both of the sisters, because of the suffix. We don't know which one is the one that he's obligated to give chalitza to. Now, if the case is that lezeh echad, one of these men that died has one brother, or lezeh shnayim, and the other one has 2 brothers, so ha'echad chaylitz l'shteyen. So one of them, the one that has one brother, so this one brother is going to have to give chalitza for both of them. And he can't marry either one because it's possible that he's marrying a sister of the one that's zakuka to him. You're not allowed to marry a sister of a zakuka, of one that's connected to you because of the mitzvah of yibum. So he has to give chalitza to both of them. That's the one brother. V'ashnayim, the one that has 2 brothers, echad chalitz, one of them could do chalitza, and then v'echad miyabim. And the other one could now do Yibum, and the Yibum, there won't be any problem. Once he gave Chalitza to one, so now the other one that he does Yibum with, either he's being Mekayim the mitzvah of Yibum, because this is actually the wife of his brother that passed away, or it's not his brother's wife, and he's allowed to marry her. Even though the Chalitza, the brother did Chalitza to her sister, that Chalitza does not ask him to marry the sister. Okay, but now the Mishnah continues. Im kadmu v'kansu. If both of these brothers just went ahead and both went and married each one of these sisters, so b'diavad, after the fact, we're not going to force them to divorce these wives. And the reason is because the isser over here that each one would be over is only isser d'Rabbanan, which is a chais chalutza, not to marry a sister of a chalutza, and that isser d'Rabbanan is not b'diavad once they married. Now, so the Gemara explains that here in the Seife, the Chiddush is Dafke Mechlatz V'Hadi Yevumi. When it says in the Mishnah that the 2 brothers, so one could do Chalitza, and then the other is allowed to go and be Miyavim, marry the other sister, that's only if it's in this order. First Chalitza and then Yibum. Once Chalitza was done, now to be Miyavim, the other brother, to be Miyavim sister, is not an issue. If one wants to come and be miyavim first, and then the other will do chalitza later, that's going to be a problem. Because it's possible that this woman that he's being miyabim is actually not his brother's wife. So it's not his yivama. It's the other person's wife. And therefore the other brother, his brother, has to be miyabim her. And he's marrying her, and he's really being over the isser of yivama l'shok, that the Yavam is not allowed to marry him. The Yavam has to marry the other brother. So therefore he can't be Miyabim first. First you have to do Chalitza, and only after you do Chalitza, then he can go and marry this woman, and then Manav Shecha won't be any problem, as explained before. So that was a Chiddush only in the Sefer. Toshima, the Gemara brings a raya and asks on Rava. The Tani Tivyaimi taught in a Braisa. Lezeh Chamisha Bonim. One person had 5 sons. Ulezeh Chamish Bonais, and the other one had 5 daughters. V'amar, and a person said, Achas mibneisecha mikudeshes la'achad mibonai. So the one with the daughter said that one of, V'amar again, the one with the son said, that one of your daughters should be mikudeshes to one of my sons. Okay, so now Rashi says, of course, the one that has the daughters, if they're ketanais or they're nidus, so then they're in the father's possession to accept this Kidushin. But the one with the sons, so the sons made him a shliach to be mekadesh them. So, but he said just one of my daughters to one of your sons. Didn't specify which one. So kol achas v'achas sricha chamisha gittin. So each one of the sons are going to have to give 5 gittin for each one of these women, because it's possible that the marriage is for each one of them. For one, we don't know which one it is. I mean, for one of them, but we don't know which one. Meis achad mehem. If one of the brothers died, so now there's only 4 alive, and now there's one that died, and now without children, so there's a mitzvah of yibum or chalitza. So what do we do? So kol achas v'achas tzricha arba gittin. So for the 4 brothers that are still alive, each one of these girls have to get 4 gittin from them. V'chalitza me'achad men, and also have to get chalitza from one of them, because it's each one of them is going to have to get chalitza from one of the brothers, because it's possible that they are the wife of this one that passed away, and they are the one that need chalitza. So this is the Braisa. So here again, this is obviously a question on what Rava says, that in a case of such a kind of Kidushin, where the Kidushin in the first place was not clear who the wife is, so therefore there's no possibility for Bia after the Kidushin shouldn't take effect at all. Here we see it does take effect. Says the Gemara, if you'll argue and try to give the same answer to a few of the questions the Gemara asked before in Rava. The Hachanami here as well, the case is in the beginning it was clear which brother, which son that is getting married to which daughter, and then only later it got mixed, it got forgotten. So the Kidushin did take effect in the beginning, but in the words of the Braisa, it's clear that that's not the case, because ha'achas mibneisecha le'echad mi banai ketani. In the Braisa, the lashon here is that one man said, one of my daughters is married to one of your sons. That was the case right from the beginning. They didn't specify, wasn't clear at all, and still it says that the Kidushin takes effect. To Yufte the Rava, so this refutes what Rava said. To Yufte, this remains a refutation of what Rava said. And the Hilchase Kvasei da Abaye, we paskin like Abaye biyal kegam. In 6 cases, which is in the Rosh Tevis of Yal Kegam, one of them is over here. In this case of the Kuf goes on this case, Kidushin She'ein Mesurin Labiyah. And the others, Rashi brings over here that the Yud refers to Yir Shalevidas, which is in Bob Metzia. The Ayin is Eid Zaymim, whether it passes the Mafreya. The Lamed is Alechi Aimid Me'elov, Allah regarding the Lechi by Eidov. And then there's the case of, that's Rashi. Taisus has a different shit to what the Lamed is. The Mem is Mumo Eichel Nevelis Lahachis, in such a case, regarding this Psofa Eidos. But it's all these 6 cases we paskin like Abaya, otherwise the halacha in Shas is always like Rava. Okay, now going back to the Mishnah. Mishnah brought a story, Maisa B'chamish Nashim. This was the Mishnah in the end of Nunam at Beis, a man that went and was Mekadesh 5 women. Amongst these 5 women were 2 sisters, Velikit Adam Echad, Kalkala Shal Te'enim V'Shalahen Haisa. This man took a basket of figs, and whose figs were they? They belonged to these women. And V'Shal Shviyas Haisa, it was figs from Shemitah, from the Shemitah year, and he gave them the basket to be Mekadesh, and he said they're all Mekadeshes, and the Mishnah says they'll all be Mekadeshes besides the sisters. Okay, so now on this, the Gemara says, Amarav, Shmami, no, we learn from this Mishnah, Mimas Nisan, Arba. You can learn 4 halachas from this Mishnah. And that's actually also including the Reisha, as we'll see soon, in the continuation of the Gemara. But v'naket Rav biyadei tlas. But there were 3 that Rav would always repeat. In the 4th halacha, it wasn't clear exactly what it is that we learn out, so therefore Rav didn't repeat it, as the Gemara will soon explain what that is. So what are the 3 halachas that Rav would always say you could learn from this Mishnah? Shma mina, one thing you see from here, Amakadosh bepeiris shviyis mekudeshes. If you mekadesh a woman with fruits that come from Shemitah, she is mekudeshes. And Rashi explains, the chiddush over here is that we don't say that it's not his money. Can't be zeich in it, it's hefker. But so not that he can be zeich in it. True, it's hefker, but he can be zeich in it, and it becomes his money for everything. For he can use it not only to eat, but also to be mekadesher. And Rashi adds also that you may think that by Shemitah it says that it's la'achla, you're not supposed to use it for business things and so on. So over here you would think that maybe you can't use it for Kidushin. So that's also the Chiddush, that he can use it for Kidushin. That's the first Chiddush. Shema mina, another thing we learn from our Mishnah, Kitcha begezel, you mekadesh a woman with something that you stole, Eina mukadeshes. She's not mukadeshes. Va'afila begezel dida. Even this gzela that you stole from her, and if she accepted it, it would seem like that she was meichel, this gzela, and she accepted it for Kiddushin, but she's not mukadeshes. Mimai, how do I learn that from this Mishnah? Midiktani, the Mishnah says that what was the story with this basket of figs? Shalahen Isa, it belonged to them, Vishal Shviyis Isa, and it was Shemitah. So he stole it from them, and it was Shemitah fruits. So why is the Mishnah saying both of these points? Time, Midish is the reason why he could be Mekadesh them with this basket of fruits, even though it was theirs, because it was Shemitah and the Hefkeru. So if it's Shemitah, even though it grew on their property, but it's Hefker. But if it would be from any of the other years of the 7 years of Shemitah, you couldn't be Mekadesh with this basket, it belongs to them. The third halacha, Rav learned from this Mishnah, Isha nasa shliach lechaverta. A woman could become a shliach, because that's the case here. One of the women accepted the Kidushin for all of them. She became a shliach for the others. Even in a case where this one is becoming a co-wife for the others. And the halacha is, Rashi says, the chiddush over here is when it comes to halachas of eidos, so over here, in such a case, there are certain kinds of testimony that a woman is accepted as an eidos. Usually a woman is pasul for eidos, but there are certain eidos, and we learned in Masechta Gittin that a woman is accepted. But in a case where she's a tzara, where she's a co-wife, and there's a certain hatred and competition between them, her eidos is not trusted. So you might think that the same should apply for shlichus. Over here, where she's doing something and she's becoming a shliach, to be mekadesh herself and the others together, and they're becoming tzaras, co-wives, this is something that she's not trusted to say, that she did it right for her and for the others as well. Nevertheless, over here the Mishnah is saying that by Eidos she's not trusted, but for the shlichus we trust her, that the shlichus that she accepted for them, and they'll be mekadeshes. Now says the Gemara, ve'idach mahi. What was the fourth halacha that Rav learned from our Mishnah, but nevertheless he wouldn't say it? So the Gemara explains, Kidushin she'ein mesurin lebiyah. What you learn from our Mishnah regarding the halacha of Kidushin she'ein mesurin lebiyah, the previous sugi here, when a person is mekadesh a woman, and it's impossible to have biyah, does the Kidushin take effect? And this is something you could learn even already from the ratio of the Mishnah. The ratio of the Mishnah was a person's mekadesh, 2 sisters, together. Eina mekadashes. None of them are mekadeshes. And from here we can learn about this halacha of Kidushin she'ein mesurin lebiyah. So the Gemara explains, why didn't Rav say this? V'nechshava, let Rav count this as the fourth chiddush. Why didn't he say this halacha? And says the Gemara, mishum this misapkelei ikabaye karava, because Rav had a suffix how to interpret the Mishnah. Do we learn from the Mishnah the way Abaye interpreted the Mishnah? Abaye actually learned from the Mishnah. The Gemara explained this before already on Daf Nun Aleph, that the Mishnah is saying if you mekadesh both sisters together, then they're not mukadeshes. But if you mekadesh one of the sisters, even if you don't specify, then it will be a kedushin, even though it's not possible to have biyah. On the other hand, Rava teaches the Mishnah, when it says he was mekadesh both sisters, it means to say even though he was mekadesh one sister, it's like he was mekadesh both together, and because he didn't specify which sister, so there's no kedushin. So therefore, he didn't know how to teach the Mishnah. He knew you could learn from our Mishnah the halacha of Kidushin, she'ein mesurin lebiyah, but it could be like Abaye or Rava, so therefore that's not a halacha that he clearly said that we learn from here. Going back to what was mentioned before, one of the halachas Rav learned from our Mishnah was that you can't be mekadesh a woman with gezel. Kisalik Rab Zera, when Rab Zera went to Eretz Yisrael, Omla laha shmaita kamei Rab Yechanan. He said this halacha of Rav that you can't be mekadesh with gezel from Rab Yechanan. Amalei, so Rabbi Yochanan said to Rav Zera, Mi Amar Rav Hachi? Did Rav actually say this? Is this true? It sounds like Rabbi Yochanan disagrees with this halacha. So the Gemara asks him that V'hu lo yama? Rabbi Yochanan is asking because he disagrees with this? But V'hamar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan himself also said, Gazal, v'loinis yashra bailam. Person stole something, and the original owner did not give up on it. So the ownership is still really by the original owner. So Shneim Erim Yechayil Mahaktish. Both will not have the power to be maktish this, to give it to hektish. Zelafi Shein Shaloi. The one that steals it because it's not his. The original owner wasn't miyayish. He wasn't kained in any way. Yiyush is a kinyan, as it explains in other places in the Gemara. But here there was no yiyush, so there's no possibility to be mekadosh what's not yours. And the other one, the original owner can't be mekadosh, makdish, that is, to hektish, because it's not in his possession right now. It doesn't have the ability to be makdish it. So if so, we see here, if it's not yours, you can't be makdish it. So certainly Rabbi Yochanan also holds you can't be mekadosh a woman with this. He doesn't disagree with Rav. So what was he asking? So the Gemara explains, true, this is what he was telling Rav Zera. Mi Amarav Kavasi. Is it actually true that Rav said like me? That he was wondering, is it that he was mechaven to say the same halacha like Rav? Now the Gemara asks on this halacha that Rav learned from our Mishnah, Meisvei, it says in a Braise, Kitcha begezel, he's mekadosh a woman with something that he stole. Chamos, also when you take something by force, pays for it, but he took it by force from the owner. Or begneve, or stealing it, where that's not an open gzela where you confront and take, but it's when a person sneaks it and takes it away from a person. Or he grabbed a coin out of her hands and then gave it to her and was mekadosh with this. Mikudeshes, says the Braisa, she will be Mikudeshes. So how could the Rav, that is, learn out from our Mishnah that you're not Mikudeshes with gzela? That is the Gemara, Hossam begezel dida. This Braisa is speaking specifically when he stole from her, and then he's giving it back to her, and he's being mekadosh with this. Since she accepted it from him, she probably was Meichel. Okay, the Gemara is going to soon ask that the Gemara before clearly said that from our Mishnah we learn out even what he stole from her. That's what it was talking about over there. He took the basket of figs, came from these women, took it from them, that you're not mekadosh even with gezel from them. The Gemara will soon explain. But first the Gemara explains the pshat in this Braisa, according to the answer that we just said. So the Gemara asks, but Hamadiktani Seifa. The Seifa, right, the last case of this Braisa says, Oy shechatav sela mishalah. Or it starts with Gezel and so on, but then it says, or he grabbed the seller from her herself. The Klal, the Reisha, begezel the almaskin. So doesn't that prove that the Reisha is speaking about not Gezel where he stole from her, but it's speaking about a Gezel that he stole from others? So how can we say that this whole Braisa is all speaking about just that he stole from her? And says the Gemara, Pirushi kamefarish. The last case of the Braisa is actually not another case, it's coming to explain the previous cases. Kitcha begezel b'chamsa b'gneva, he was mekadosh in any of these ways, or when he took it, he stole it from the owner. So the halacha is that she will be mekadeshes. And then the last case is keitzat. What's the when? When do we say that she'll be mekadeshes with gzela? Kogoin shechatav selam yadav kitcha boy. That's if he stole it from her, he grabbed it out of her hands and he was mekadosh with this. No, sorry. Now here the Gemara comes back to ask the question I mentioned before when Rav said his original halacha, but learned from our Mishnah, v'hamasnisa in the gezel dida. What's our Mishnah speaking about? It is gezel that came from her, and the kamar avein mekadeshes. And Rav says we learn from the Mishnah that she's not mekadeshes. So the stira still stands from the Mishnah to the Braisa. And says the Gemara like kashya, it's not a question had the shadich and had the loy shadich. In the Braisa where it says that she is Mukadesha, that's because there was an engagement before. And so she wants to get married to him. So if he took it out of her hands and was Mekadesher, so she probably accepted it and wants to get married to him. She was Meichel. But in our Mishnah, it's Loi Shadich. If there's no Shidich, he just goes and grabs something from a woman and gives it to her and it's Mekadesher. That's what we learn from our Mishnah, that the Kidushin will not take effect. So the Gemara brings a few incidents about this halacha. There was this woman that was sitting, she was sitting and washing her feet in a pail of water. This individual came along, he grabbed money out of his friend's hand, and he threw her this money, and he told her, mikachesly, should be mikadeshes to me. Now, this man came, after he did this, he came to Rava to ask him the question whether this woman will be mikadeshes or not. Omar Rava said, less the chosh laha de Rab Shimon. There's nobody that pays attention or is concerned about the opinion of Rab Shimon that said, the Omar, stam gezele yish bailamhu. That when you steal something openly and directly, you grab it away from someone, the owner immediately gives up on it, and therefore you're kain it. And this is relevant for the halacha regarding tumah, when a person's machshava establishes the status of a certain object, if it's a keli or not, and your machshava could only establish that status if you're an owner. So the question is, when you steal it and you have a machshava that you want to use this keli as is, could your machshava establish it? Do you become an owner or not? Rav Shimon says, you stole it, gzeila, the person gives up, so it's yours now. Right? So Gemara says that, or Rav is saying, nobody accepts Rav Shimon's opinion. So when this person went and grabbed money out of someone's hand and gave it to this woman to be Mekadesher with it, she's not Mekadeshes. There's nothing to be concerned about here. Another story, Ahu Arisa. There was this sharecropper that works in the field and he gets a certain percent of the crop. The Kaddish b'muza the Shamchi. He was Mekadesh, a woman with a handful of onions. He took with them before they divided. He just took a handful of onions and was Mekadesh a woman with this. Also, they came to Rava to ask if the Kidushin took effect or not on Malay. So Rava said to him, Ma nachlech? Who was Meichel you? Who allowed you? Who gave you the permission to go and take from the balabas, from the property, without sharing and dividing with him? So therefore, there's no Kidushin here. Now the Gemara explains, though, there's a limitation to this psak din. When did Rava say this? If you took just a handful, which is not a specific amount, and you can't then make up with the owner how much percent you're getting in exchange for the percent that the owner is supposed to get. Aval kisha, but if you took a bundle, motzi amale, so then he could say to the owner, even though I took it by myself, but ana shakli kisha, shakalat kisha. You know exactly how much I took, and we know what the deal is, how much I get and how much you get, and it's a set amount of what I took now. So what I took a bundle, and you'll take the bundle. Kisha ki kisha, like the bundle I took, you take. So in such a case, he is a sharecropper. He has rights to take a certain amount, and he can then make the cheshbon with the balabas, what is his and what's the balabas's. So therefore, the Kidushin will take effect. Third story the Gemara brings, Hahu Sarsiye the Kaddish beprumi de Shichre. There was this person that his job was he made beer out of dates for a balabas. And as Rashi says, that he would get half of the beer, he would share the beer he would get from what he made. But now, what happened? He took Pruma de Shichre, he took from these dates, from this beer, and he was Mekadesh, the woman with it. Didn't ask the Balabas and took these dates and was Mekadesher. Also, Mara de Shichre, the owner of these dates of the beer came, and Ashkeche, and encountered this person that did this, that took on his own, his worker, Amalei, and he commented to the worker and said, Amai letesev mahai charifa. Why did you take these dates were already squeezed out, and this is what you were Mekadesh this woman with? Why wouldn't you take better ones, better quality ones, to be Mekadesh this woman with it? It sounds like the balabas that he stole from is basically being Meichel, and not only that, he's telling him, why didn't you go and take even from better to be Mekadesher with? Also, so he came to ask Rava whether she would be Mekadeshes here. So Omar, Rava said that no, she will not be Mekadeshes, even though the Balabas seemingly made a comment showing, that he's happy with what he took. And he explains as follows. Where do we find such a concept? The person takes without permission. And then the Balabas comes and comments and says, oh, you took? Why didn't you take from even better? We only say that when a person went and separated trumah for a balabas without his permission. There, that comment means that the balabas wants him to give the trumah, but not over here regarding the dates that he took for Kidushin. And the Gemara will soon explain the reason for the difference, but first it brings here the Braise that tells us this halacha regarding taking trumah without the balabas's permission. The Tanya we learned in the Braise. In what scenario is it that a person that takes trumah without the consent of the balabas, that the trumah takes effect? And that is, person went down into his friend's property, viliket, and he went and collected from the produce, and v'taram shalei b'rishus, he gave trumah without permission of the balabas. Im chayshish mishum gezel ein trumas trumah. If there's concern here that this is a gzela, then it's not truma. V'im lav truma se truma. And if we're not choishish that this is gzela, then the truma will be truma. Okay, so now the Bryce explains to me, how do we know if we have to be choishish for gezel or not? So says the Gemara, Harei Shabbat Balabais Umatzai. If the balabas comes and tells this person that did this without his permission, and tells him, sorry, Klach Eitzel Yafais. You should go to the better quality. You gave Truma. Why did you give Truma from this quality that you gave from? Why didn't you go to better quality to give for Truma? So now, how do we understand this comment that the balabas is saying? If it is actually better Truma than what he took, so then Truma se Truma. So then the Truma will be a Truma because that is showing that the balabas approves of what he did, that he's actually telling him you should have taken from even better. But Vim Lav, if we see that there isn't any better quality, then ain't Truma se Truma. Then we know it was a sarcastic comment. It's not Truma because he took from the best quality and the balabas is not so happy about what he did on his own without his permission, so then it will not be Truma, it's Gzela. But now the Braisa adds that if if the owner himself came and was collecting himself and added to this truma that this individual gave without his permission, then benkach or benkach truma se truma. Either way, the truma that he separated will be truma because we see that he's proving and he's even adding to what he did. Okay, so this is the case that it says regarding truma. That over here, it depends on the comment of the balabas, and if you said klach etzel yafis and there actually are better ones, then that shows that he approves, and the truma will be truma. But that's only by truma, because by truma, the balabas has an obligation to give the truma anyways. So when this person did it, he didn't take something away from him that the balabas wouldn't have to give on his own, he would have to give it anyways. But over here, when the balabas is making this comment to this worker with the beer, that you took this squeezed out date, you should have taken a better date. That doesn't really mean that he's expressing that he agrees or he's happy with this that he stole from him without his permission. He just doesn't want to embarrass him, so he's making this comment hudava. That's why he's saying it. But really, he's not happy that he took it without his permission. So therefore, in this case, she will not be mukudeshes. Sagt der Heilige Mishnah, HaMekadesh a Koyin, that's Mekadesh a woman, Bechelkoi, with his portion that he gets from the Karbonis, that the Koyinim get a certain portion from the Karbonis, Bein Koche Kochem, what he took from Koche Kochem, which could only be eaten in the Azara, Bein Kochem Kalem, or he took from Kochem Kalem, which is a lower level of Kedusha, and it could be eaten in the whole Yerushalayim. Eina Mukadeshes. She will not be Mukadeshes with this because this belongs to the Eibishter. It's Mishulchan Gavaya Kazachu, belongs to it's hektish, and the Eibishter gave it to them to eat, but they can't use it for anything else. It's a mitzvah to eat the karbanis, but it can't be Mekadesh. The Meiser Sheni. If a person is Mekadesh, a woman with Meiser Sheni, Bein Shoigig, Bein Mezid. So whether he did this B'Shoigig, he didn't realize it's Meiser Sheni, whether it was B'Mezid, intentionally, and knew it's Meiser Sheni, either way, like Kiddush. Kidushin does not take effect. Divrei Rab Meir. This is Rab Meir's opinion. Rab Meir also holds that Meiser Sheni is similar to Hektish. It's Mammon Gavoya. That doesn't belong to you. It's the mitzvah. You come, you eat it in Yerushalayim, but you can't be Mekadesh Yeshu with it. Rab Yehuda says, B'Shoigig, like Kiddush. If it was B'Shoigig, then it's not a Kiddushin because it's a mistake. It's a toss. So it's a Kiddushin of a mistake. He didn't realize what he was doing. B'Mezid, Kiddush. But if he took from Meiser Sheni, that is, and he knew that it's Meiser Sheni, then the Kidushin will take effect because Rabbi Yehuda holds that the money of Meiser Sheni is Mam and Hadyat. It belongs to you. You can be Mekadesh Yisha with it. Or Behegdish, if a person took from something that belongs to Hektish, from the Belek Habayis, from Hektish, we're not talking over here before like a Kochem Kochem or Kochem Kalim. He took from Hektish, from something that belongs to Hektish. Now, so over here, B'mezid Kiddush, if he did this B'mezid, the Kiddushin will take effect. B'shoigig like Kiddush, but B'shoigig it will not take effect. Okay, and Divrei Rab Meir, this is Rab Meir's opinion. The Gemara will explain the reason of Rab Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says the exact opposite. B'shoigig Kiddush, if he took money of Hektish and was Mekadesh Isha, so that if it was done B'shoigig, then it will take effect. B'mezid, but if it was done B'mezid like Kiddush, then the Kiddushin that is does not take effect. So to Gemara, going back to the beginning of the Mishnah, a Kohen took a portion from the karbanis that he gets to eat, and he was mekadesh to Isha, and the Mishnah said she's not mekadeshes, and the Mishnah included that even with kachim kalim. So on that the Gemara says, shall we say that this halacha of the Mishnah is not in agreement with what Rabbi Yosef Glili said? The Tanya we learned in the Braise, Umala mal bashem. This is the pasuk where it speaks about a person that has a pekadon in his possession. Someone gave him to hold something for him, and now he's denying that he has it, and he makes a shvuah sheker, and for this he has to bring a carbon. So the pasuk there actually says, the Nevesh Kisechta, Umala mal bashem, the kichesh ba'amisai, that he denied to his friend. From Ba'amisa we learn out that this applies only by a friend, but not if you have something from Hektish in your possession, because it's not a friend. But Rabbi Yosef Lili, however, says, it does say in the Pasuk Mala Mal Bashem, that he did something against Hashem. So what do we learn from this? Rabbis Kachim Kalim, that if a person denies, makes a shvuah sheker regarding Kachim Kalim that he has, on that, he will be chayv to bring a carbon, even though it says in the pasuk ba'amisai, that's only between a friend, but at the same time, though, it says b'Hashem, so this is including kachim kalim. Why? Shehem emayne. It's taka kachim, and therefore it's included in the word Hashem, but at the same time, it is also ba'misa, because kachim kalim is your money. If the Eibusha gives it to you to eat, and it belongs to you, you can eat it anywhere in Shalayim, it's yours. This is Rabbi Yosef Glili's opinion. So if so, in our Mishnah, if a person is mekadesh a woman with this, she should also be mekadeshes. So the Gemara says, no, Philatayim Rabbi Yosef Glili, I can tell you our Mishnah does follow Rabbi Yosef Glili's opinion. Ki kam Rabbi Yosef Glili mechayim. Rabbi Yosef Glili was speaking about a carbon of kachim kalim that was dedicated for the carbon, but it's still a live animal. That is still in the owner's possession. But after the behemoth was slaughtered, it's over here, Rabbi Yosef Glili would not say that it's his money. My time, what's the halacha? Because by all kachim, once it's shechted and the kainim could eat from this, they get their portion. Ki kazachu, when they merit and they could eat, mishulchan gevaya kazachu. They're taken from the table of Hashem to eat. That's their mitzvah, but it doesn't belong to them to use. They kanami, I'll prove to you that that's the point of our Mishnah here, that it's dafka after it was shechted and they're getting their portion. The Ketani HaMekadosh bechelkoi, Ben kachim kachim and ben kachim kalam. The Mishnah says the word chelkai, their portion. It doesn't say he was mekadesh for kachim or kachim kalam. So then, like Kiddush, then the Kidushin does not take effect. So Shema Mino, that we're speaking about after it was shechted, and therefore everybody would agree that this is coming mishulchan gavoya, and you can't be mekadesh with it. Tana Rabbanim, we learned in the Braise, la'acha petiroseh shel Rab Meir. After Rab Meir passed away, Amalem Rabbi Yehuda leTalmidav, Rabbi Yehuda said to his students, Al yikonsu Talmidei Rab Meir lekan. Don't allow any of the students of Rab Meir to enter and come here, because they're going to ask me questions and they're just here to refute what I'm saying. They're not coming to learn Torah from me, just to ask me questions to show how smart they are, and no one can stand up against them. So don't let them in here. Dochak Sumchis v'nichnas, but nevertheless Sumchis squeezed his way in and came into the Besmedrish of Rabbi Yehuda. Now he said to them the following halacha: Kach shana li Rab Meir. This is what Rab Meir taught me. Hamekadesh bechelkai, a kohen that's mekadesh with his portion, ben kachim kachim or ben kachim kalim, whether it's kachim kachim or kachim kalim, like Kiddush. The Kidushin does not take effect. The halacha of our Mishnah. That's the halacha that he repeated in the name of Rab Meir. So now he wanted to really know whether Rabbi Yehuda agrees or not. What caused Rabbi Yehuda aleim? Rabbi Yehuda got angry at them. Why did he ask and say such a din? And he said as follows: Amalehem loy kach amarti lechem. Didn't I tell you this? Al yikonsu mitalmidei Rab Meir lekan. Don't let the students of Rab Meir to enter mipnei shekanteronim meim. V'loy l'mutayreim boim. They're not coming to learn. El lekapcheni ba'alachas boim. They just want to ask questions. V'chi isha ba'azara minayin. So he says this halacha here has no relevance at all. How is there a woman here in the Azara that you can be mekadesher with kachim kachim? Kachim kachim could only be eaten in the Azara, and a woman is not allowed to enter there. If you take it out of the Azara into the Ezes Nashim, so then this kachim becomes completely puzzle. You can't eat it. You can't do anything with it. And so the Nashim are not allowed to enter. So what's the relevance of this halacha? That was the question that Rabbi Yehuda asked on this whole halacha, which is really a question on our Mishnah, that the same halacha in our Mishnah. So Rabbi Yosi said, Yoimru, people are going to say, Meir Shachav, that Rabbi Meir passed away, Yehuda caused, and Rabbi Yehuda got angry, and Yosi Shosak. And Rabbi Yosi was quiet. Divrei Torah matela. What's going to be with the words of Torah? So here, Rabbi Yossi stuck up for Sumchus and explained why this shaila is irrelevant shaila. And for a few reasons. Number one, v'chi ein adam asoi lekabel Kidushin lebitoi ba'azara. Is it not possible that a father, that his daughter is in his possession, would be able to go into the Azara and be Mekadosh and accept the Kidushin from a Kohen for his daughter? It's one scenario where it's relevant. Another one, ve'ein isha asuya lasis la shliach lekabel Kidushin ba'azara. Isn't it possible that a woman would appoint a shliach to receive a Kidushin for her in the Azara? V'oid, a third point is, dochka v'nichnesamai. What's if she herself pushed her way into the Azara and received the Kidushin from a Kohen, even though she wasn't allowed to enter? This is still a question that is relevant to answer, to know what the halacha would be in such a case. So therefore, this is actually the halacha that's taught over here in the Mishnah. This halacha that Reb Meir said. Okay, the Gemara, the Hamshach will continue with Hashem next time.